Good evening and thank you for joining us. Here's your dose of the news for the day. 10 minutes of just the news with no opinion, no debate, no shouting. Let's get straight to it. On the 4th of March, here is our first story. A Washington-based think tank called Freedom House has demoted India's freedom score from free down to partly free. Now, it is said that rights and civil liberties have been eroding, quote, since the Narendra Modi government in 2014, end quote. With 100% being marked as the most free country, India's score has decreased from 71 down to 67, and its rank has fallen from 83 down to 88 among 211 countries. The report says, and I quote, Modi's Hindu nationalist government has presided over an increased pressure on human rights organizations, rising intimidation of academics and journalists, and a spate of bigoted attacks and lynchings aimed at Muslims. The decline has deepened following Modi's re-election in 2019, and the government's response to coronavirus pandemic in 2020 featured further abuses of fundamental rights, end quote. The most free countries in the world with a score of 100 are Finland, Norway and Sweden, and the least free countries in the world with a score of 1 is Syria and Tibet. Labour activist Shiv Kumar has been granted bail in the 3 cases registered against him. Kumar is the president of the Mazdoor Adhikar Sangathan. He was arrested on the 16th of January, just days after other Labour activist Nodeep Kaur was arrested. Both Shiv Kumar and Nodeep Kaur were arrested after their protest against the alleged harassment of factory workers in Haryana's Sonipat district. The protest turned violent on the 12th of January, and charges of attempted murder, theft and extortion were filed against them. Nodeep Kaur was granted bail on the 26th of February. Shiv Kumar has alleged police brutality when he was in custody, and his medical report seems to confirm that. Nodeep Kaur has alleged sexual harassment at the hands of the police. Residents of Uttar Pradesh's Hardoi were horrified when they spotted a 45-year-old man walking down the street calmly, holding the severed head of his teenage daughter, going towards the police station. According to an Indian Express report, the police said the man allegedly beheaded his teenage daughter when he discovered she was in a relationship with a young man. A video of him with the head in his hand, flashing a victory sign, has gone viral on social media. The man, Sarvesh Kumar, has confirmed and confessed that he beheaded his daughter because he was unhappy about a relationship that she was having. Also in Uttar Pradesh, a man has been detained in Firozabad after making a hoax phone call to the police claiming that there was a bomb placed inside the Taj Mahal this morning. The police have told the PTI that prima facie he seems to be mentally unstable and is probably under treatment. We are probing to find out why he made that call. The Taj Mahal was reopened for visitors about an hour and 45 minutes after it was evacuated. About 1,000 tourists were asked to leave the premises this morning after authorities received the bomb threat. Now on to news from the various state elections that we're going into, starting with Tamil Nadu. Ahead of the assembly elections, V.K. Sasikala has the expelled AIDMK leader who was recently released from jail has announced that she has decided to step aside from politics altogether. In a letter that she wrote, she said, as Amma used to say, defeating the evil force of the DMK should be the main aim of the obedient cadre of Amma's party. Her announcement comes as a surprise considering that she had been very keen in playing an active role in politics after her release from Bangalore prison on the 27th of January, where she served a 4-year sentence in a disproportionate assets case. Sasikala's surprise and sudden departure from politics is expected to help the AIADMK and avoid splitting of votes, but it seems to have come as a surprise for her nephew, TTV Dinakaran, who expected her to play a role alongside him. And he was also ousted from the AIADMK back in 2017. Well, after the RJD and the Samajwadi Party, the Shiv Sena has now given its support to Mamata Banerjee for the West Bengal elections. Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut has clarified that the party will not contest the upcoming elections in Bengal. After discussions with Party President Uddhav Thackeray, Raut made a statement saying, and I quote, "Looking at the present scenario, it appears as if it's Didi versus all, while all M's, muscle, money and media, are being used against M for Mamta. Hence, the Shiv Sena has decided not to contest the West Bengal polls and to stand in solidarity with her." In Kerala, the BJP has announced that E. Sridharan, popularly known as the Metro Man, who has a great reputation for being the person who spearheaded the Delhi Metro project, he will be the party's chief ministerial candidate in the upcoming Kerala Assembly elections. E. Sridharan is 88 years old and he joined the party last week. The BJP state president K. Surendran announced the decision and said the party will soon release a list of other candidates as well. Moving on to updates on COVID and the vaccine. Health Minister Dr. Harsh Vardhan has announced that hospitals do not have to stick to the schedule that the government had given them while vaccinating citizens. Dr. Harsh Vardhan has said the government has removed all time constraints to increase the speed of the vaccination. People can get vaccinated 24/7 at their convenience. Now, one of the major reasons for the flexible timings is to avoid crowding that was reported at vaccination centers. In very good news, Bharat Biotech on Wednesday said that its Covaxin has demonstrated 81% interim efficacy in phase 3 clinical trials. Now, the trials apparently involved 25,800 people and were conducted in partnership with the ICMR, making it the largest trial to ever be conducted in India. Covaxin is one of the 2 vaccine options right now that's being used to mass inoculate people against COVID-19 in India. Also, Zimbabwe has become the first country in Africa to approve Covaxin. Moving on to news from Orissa. After videos of a forest fire in Odisha's Simplipal raised concerns, the Indian Express has reported that it has finally been brought under control, but not before this fire raged for almost a week. The Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik has reviewed the situation and Union Minister for Environment Prakash Javadekar has asked for a report on the fire. I want to remind our viewers that this fire happened to be inside a forest and tiger reserve, and environmentalists have been very concerned on the impact that this has had on the forest and of course on the animals there. The Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik has said that there has been no major damage to flora or fauna, but like I told you, environmentalists right now disagree. Let's take a look at news from the world of business. Gold prices have fallen in the Indian markets because of the rising US bond deals that I told you a couple of days ago, and the strong dollar. Now, on the multi-commodity exchange, or the MCX, where commodities are traded, the gold futures of April were trading at 0.19% lower, and they're currently trading at 44,816 rupees per tola, or 10 grams. Which means gold has actually come down about 5,400 rupees or 11% so far in 2021. And meanwhile, silver May futures have actually traded 1% lower as well. Looking at international news at this point, it was a terrible day in Myanmar, the bloodiest day of that protest, where at least 38 people have been killed. Tensions have escalated between the anti-coup demonstrators and, of course, the military. The death toll was the highest since the 1st of February when the takeover happened and the military ousted the elected government of leader Aung San Suu Kyi. At least 54 people, mostly peaceful protesters, are confirmed to have been killed by the police or the soldiers since then. At least 1,700 people have been detained. And news coming in from China that should perhaps make travelers a little uncomfortable. China has made its anal COVID-19 swabs mandatory for all foreigners entering the country. According to the Times UK, the government of China has claimed that such tests provide a higher degree of accuracy than other screening methods for the virus. Testing hubs to acquire the samples will be present at Beijing and Shanghai airports. The move comes after Japan asked China to stop performing these tests on visiting citizens, citing psychological distress. However, China has claimed that these tests are scientific and more accurate. Germany is extending its COVID shutdown by 3 more weeks until March 28th, but easing some of the restrictions, allowing non-essential stores and other businesses to reopen in areas with low infection rates. Germany has reported 2.47 million cases and 71,000 deaths so far. News from the world of science and technology. Well, this story is not so grim. Sony has apparently patented an application that details a method of turning a non-luminous passive object being held by a user into a PlayStation controller. Apparently, the examples being given so far are bananas and oranges that can be used as PlayStation controllers. Sony explained how a camera could detect objects so they could be used as controllers or detect the user's fingers to coincide with the location of a virtual button. Also, Australia, unfortunately, has confirmed the extinction of 13 endemic species of its country, including the first reptile the country has lost since being colonized. The country has now lost 34 species of mammals, or 10% of its land mammals, confirming its status as the capital of mammal extinction. The Wilderness Society has said no other country has anything like this on record. After Australia, Haiti comes in next on mammal extinctions, having lost 9 species. News from the world of sports. Indian tennis player Sumit Nagal has defeated world number 22 Cristian Garin of Chile 6-4, 6-3 in the Argentinian Open to enter his first ATP quarterfinal. This is his first ever win over a top 50 player. Nagal, who is ranked world number 150, also won one set against Roger Federer in the 2019 US Open. And finally, some positive news just to end the bulletin for you. A group of 6 women in Mumbai known as the Food Army, along with some volunteers, have come together to make mattresses for homeless and underprivileged people using discarded plastic bags from across the city. As a demo, the group, involving about 1,000 volunteers, made 6 foot by 3 foot mattresses using discarded plastic bags. They said their main aim is to protect the environment by reducing the plastic waste and generating employment for women. Well, that brings us to the end of the bulletin this evening. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Good night.